Garifuna American Heritage Foundation United proudly presents the Clifford J. Palacio Garifuna Language and Culture Academy Online. It's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time through www.lmbruce.com in the Bronx, New York, and www.radiocentroamerica.com in Los Angeles. Classes are free and for the entire family. Download the homework or handout from Facebook's Garifuna Language and Culture Academy page or from www.garifunaheritagefoundation.org. All radio programs will be recorded and archived on YouTube's GAFU channel for on-demand listening. This project is made possible in part by a grant from the Alliance for California Traditional Arts in partnership with the Walter and Elise Haas Fund and the William and Flora Hewitt and the James Irvine Foundation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are live right now from the studios in Long Beach, California, and we have a very special show tonight. As we announced it earlier, we have the president of the Garifuna Veterans of America, Mr. Edson Arzu. So we're going to call him. In the meantime, we are going to play one song, and we'll bring to you Mr. Edwin Arzu. The time is here. Okay, with that beautiful introduction, with that beautiful music from Jay King, I would like to welcome all the way from New York, Mr. Edwin Arzu, a former member of the U.S. Army. Edwin Butiguño, how are you this evening, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How's everything?
Everything is fine. Everything is good. I'm very excited to have you as a guest of the show. We have very important information to share with the Garifuna community in regards to the wonderful work that you're doing with this wonderful organization, which is the Garifuna Veterans of America. Tell us a little bit about you, about your service, and then we'll get into the organization.
Sure. Good evening, everybody that's listening. Thank you, Mr. Rani Figueroa, for having me on your show again. My name is Edson Arzu. Our organization is Garifuna Veterans of America. I'm a veteran myself. I served in the U.S. Navy for 10 years. I did two tours, a tour in Iraq and a tour in Afghanistan. First tour was nine months. My second tour was for a year. Our organization, Garifuna Veterans of America, pretty much we identify those members who have served in U.S. Armed Forces that are from Garifuna descent. So far we have identified 502 people from World War II all the way to our recent wars in Iraq.
Wow, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Yes. So how we started, I'm going to talk briefly how we started. We started in 2013. I was looking for somebody in the military who I served with on a ship, on my first ship, and I type in Garifuna. When I type in, nothing came up. It was like, Garifuna had never served in the military. So, we took a step further, and we went to the Department of Defense for statistics. And then we found out that Garifunas actually fall under the line of Hispanic ancestry, right, in the Department of Defense. So if you will join in and you have a last name of Martinez or Sambulat or whatever, but you know that you're Garifuna, you will fall under that when it comes to the Department of Defense. And it's not that the people didn't identify themselves as Garifuna. Some did, some didn't. But the ones that did, in all reality, they didn't count. They didn't count them because they will put other and they will put Garifuna. So they still, based on the last names, they will fall under Hispanics or Latin, right? So we failed, and this statistic was from March 31st, 1999, and we found over 60,000, right?
Wow.
So what we did was we had to start from scratch, right? So starting from scratch meant we had to start with family members that we knew that served. We had to start, neighbors or whatever, just kind of a word of mouth to kind of spread the word out. So that's pretty much how we started. And we did our first event, which was on November 12, 2013. We had 120 people showed up. It was a very first event. We had the veterans and active duty people who we honor. We met them for the first time at our event. It has been like that throughout all 3 events that we had so far. Those people who we notified, we have found, and so on, we meet them for the first time at our event. Right? These people that we have never seen before. We didn't know, but we found them. We contact them, send them information, tell them what we all about, and they come on board. They send us the information, and that's how we get them involved.
What has been one of the biggest obstacles in recruiting a lot of soldiers or retired soldiers or veterans who are? We know there is probably 100 times the amount of people that you already have. So I'm sure there is over 1,000, 2,000 Garifuna people who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces from all branches of the military, right, including the Coast Guard. What are some of the greatest obstacles in reaching out to the Garifuna community, especially to those who should be participating as members of the Garifuna Veterans of America?
Right. One of the biggest obstacles that we have so far is pretty much having them submit their bio. We know who they are. We know what they have done already. We know what branch of services they have served. The issue is having their bio, right? What they have done in the military, what their job was, what their rank was, so on and so forth. And a lot of them either already work for the government, they have families, so I understand the difficulty is for them to write, their bio and submit it, or some of them don't really like to talk about themselves or whatever. So, that's including myself. That has been the biggest obstacle for them to actually submit the information to us, so we could have it and we could archive it. But how we counter that is we have them, we know that they have served, we have their name, we know that they have served, so we create conversation, right? So we were like, what branch were you in? What was your job? We will ask the question. So as we ask the questions, we write them down, right? And then we create the bio for them, right? Especially if we already had contacted them for like months, and I was like, okay, I understand. So we have to be really strategic about it. But that has been our biggest challenge. But at the same time, we find other ways where we could get around that and to still obtain that information from them, and then we just prepare it just based on verbally.
Wow, that is great. No, I commend you for that, Edson. I think that is a fabulous idea where you take it upon yourself to reach out to those military members who are either shy or don't have the time or don't find the time to write a bio because,
right.
Sometimes you would just want to keep that private. You don't want to make it everybody's business out there because you understand what it is to be in the military. There is a lot of secrecy. There's a lot of things that, that prevented you when you were active duty from sharing certain things. And I guess you developed that personality. I don't know if that would be a problem, but I am just throwing it out there.
Right. And one other thing is it's individuals that the family members knew that they served, right? But it was not a conversation that they will have in the dinner table, right? It's not a conversation that would be like, hey, has everything or what is it that you do, right? And a lot of family members be like, yeah, I have a nephew or I have a son, but they don't know exactly what the job description is or was in the military.
Oh.
So within our community, we have seen is, yeah, I know I have a son or I have a daughter or I have a nephew or whatever that did serve, but it was not a conversation that you would have in a dinner table because, you know, for us it was pretty much another job, right? So these are individuals that I want people to understand the history about it. We have found a great history when it comes to Garifuna serving here in the U.S. I'm gonna give you for an example. We have a Tuskegee Airman, Wilfredo. A general sent him a letter while he was in Guatemala. He got accepted to a flight school in Texas, and as a linguist. So he knew 5 different languages, right?
Wow.
So he flies to Texas. This is already 1958. Now, if a lot of people who are listening, we're talking about 1958 U.S. Texas. We're talking about Jim Crow laws,
yes,
discrimination. Civil rights movement was just starting. It was in its peak at that moment. So I want people to like picture this individual in uniform in Texas in the South in 1958.
Amazing.
Right? So this person had to leave the base. They spit on him. They will not serve him in certain restaurants, right? People will talk down on him, even though he's in uniform. And this same individual was in charge of a squadron, of a flight squadron, because he became top of his class, which he was in charge of, you know, white pilots as well.
Right.
Right? And this is 1958, you know, when the bombing of the church happened in Alabama. All this stuff was happening in the U.S. during that time. And this individual or individuals that was in that era was subject to this type of discriminations as well. It didn't matter if they were Garifuna or not. You saw the color of their skin, and that was it. I mean, but regardless of that, these people still serve honorably. And Mr. Wilfredo came back to Guatemala, where he was greeted by the president of Guatemala at that time as well. We have pictures of that. How we got pictures of him in the newspaper, how the Guatemalan government honor him as a hero, coming back, and so he also plays sports, right? But our community doesn't know anything about it, right? Yeah. Even though it's in the newspaper, there are pictures, our community doesn't know anything about it. We also have.
Let me add a little bit more about Wilfredo Stokes.
Yes.
He was also. Let me go a little bit back. He was not only one of the Tuskegee members, but he was also a member of the Guatemalan Air Force after he came back, right? So he married a Garifuna lady, and of course, Dr. Wilfredo Baltazar Stokes Baltazar was born, and he happens to be a prominent doctor in Guatemala at this point, and of course, the original member of the Air Force. Of course, he passed away in an accident, in a flight accident.
1962.
Something weird. 1962, something weird. He just, died up in the air. So there's a lot of, things that to talk about if we talk about Mr. Baltazar.
Yes, of course. Also as well, when we interviewed a couple of his friends, he used to fly the plane blindfolded, right? So he would do maneuvers on the air blindfolded, which nobody else would dare to do at that time.
Wow.
That's how good he was. We also have Mr. George Lopez. Mr. George Lopez served in the United States Coast Guard for 30 years. He retired a few months ago.
Wow.
And he's a Master Chief. He was a Master Chief. Master Chief is the highest rank you could achieve in the Coast Guard, right?
Wow.
And usually that rank in the Coast Guard usually is achieved by Caucasians, right? Mm-hmm. So he's the first Garifuna who have reached that rank in the Coast Guard. We have others who have reached the highest rank you could get in all the other branches, but we have several of them who have reached the highest rank in the other branches, but not in the Coast Guard. That's very, very important to point out. We also have Sonia Lambert. Sonia Lambert retired as a sergeant major for 30 years. I mean, female. This is a female garifuna in charge of men, soldiers in the military, in the army. 30 years, right? So she went to war as well. She went part of the Korean, Kuwait liberation operation. She was part of that as well. Afghanistan, Iraq, in the Korean War. She was a part of all of this. She got the Red Cross medal as well. She is a hero, right? All the accomplishments that she did, and she was in charge of men when at that time women were not considered to be fit for duty, and not even nevertheless lead men into battle. But she did.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And as well, we want people to understand how important this is, and I really want to stress this part. The importance of this is, as I said before, we have people that they identify themselves as Garifuna when they went in, right? Mm-hmm. The reason why we need these bios, the reason why we need to identify these people accordingly, the reason why we're doing this is because we want the United States to take notice of our service here. That's
yes,
one.
Indeed.
Two, we want them to put us in the right identification where we belong. I think people filling out application or filling out the census or what have you, because they don't see Garifuna on it. Either they don't put other whatever because they don't feel that it is important, right? They don't feel that it's important to put it in there because it doesn't do anything for them, right? So therefore, we want to change that, and we believe that the organization like ours is able to do that. So we want that category. We want our Garifuna people in that category as that checklist. It doesn't matter what application it is. It could be in the census. It could be when you go ahead and do your citizenship. It doesn't matter. We want that category based on the services and based on the people we already have who put their life on the line for this country. So that's one of the goals that we have right now.
Excellent. Mr. Arzu, I have a question in regards to the funding. How do you procure funding for the organization? Are you a 501c3 yet, or are you in the process of making it a 501c3 or any other type of organization?
Well, we're in the process of making it a 501c19. That 19 part of it is for veterans organizations.
Excellent.
We are incorporated already. The way that we get funding, we have sponsorship based on the programs that we have. We do have a mentorship program. Our mentorship program, how it works is we have active duty members or retirees or veterans who mentor our young ones who are joining in. Beautiful. So once the ones who want to join in the armed forces, once they go in, we partner them up with a mentor. So the responsibility of the mentor is to guide the new soldier throughout the whole military career, not just throughout the whole military career, but after the military career, so they could get that relationship going, right? When I went in, I didn't have a mentor, right? So I really pretty much the ins and outs in the military. Some of the stuff that if I knew some of the stuff that I know now in the military, I would have done 20 years or even 30 years.
Wow.
Right? But so we try to have the leg up on our young ones that are joining in. So we pound them up with a mentor that is in the same branch service, but in a higher rank. I mean, so that individual will be, and they will check with us. We will check with them in the first 3 months, and then every 6 months right after, because when it comes to advancement, that's how it goes. And then we'll see what works, what's not working, what is it that we could do as an organization extra, and we pretty much track their advancement throughout the whole military career. So we have paperwork for both parties to come in, and we would track the progress of the mentorship program to see how successful it is. We also have a program with hardship program, where pretty much is the ones who are going to boot camp and the parents pretty much don't have any funds to go see the kids graduating boot camp. So we'll be able to accommodate the parents and the family members so they could be able to see the kids graduate boot camp. So the funding will come when we ask for funding for the corporations or whoever. It will be direct. It will be directly for those two programs that we have.
Wow, excellent. Hey, wow, this is great. This is good information that you're giving us. I want to thank our listeners who are tuning in tonight. Bill Flores from Los Angeles. He's also a former member of the Armed Forces. Nicolas L. Alvarez, who is just retired from the Armed Forces as well. Miss Leslie Blanco is tuning in tonight. Hector Zapata, David Garifuna is also listening. And in Nicaragua, all the way in Nicaragua, we have Brigitta Zambula Bratigam, who is listening live in the beautiful country of Nicaragua, where we have Garifuna also checking in. So thank you so much for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Clifford J. Palacio Garifuna Language and Culture Academy. As part of our duty is to be able to showcase organizations such as the Garifuna Veterans of America, which is doing a wonderful job in the community, which we need to support 100%. Now, we're going to get into a little fundraiser that is coming up on the 10th of November, but I want to also mention to you that we are live and direct from the studios in Long Beach, California, and we are live thanks to the collaboration from lmbroots.com radio in the Boogie Down Bronx and www.radiocentroamerica.com in downtown Los Angeles. So we are live on 2 radio stations right now, and of course, we videotape, we record these interviews, and we put them on our archive channel on GAFU. I'm sorry, on YouTube. You go to YouTube, you type GAFU channel, and you should be able to find every interview that we have done in the past. Now, this one will be ready by tomorrow, and we promise that we will have it ready for your listening pleasure on demand for free for anybody. Mr. Edwin Arzu tonight is our guest, and he happens to be the president of the Garifuna Veterans of America, a wonderful organization which is bringing veterans together. No matter what branch of the military, you come as one and be proud to be Garifuna, of course. So,
yes.
Edwin, let's get into this fundraiser. I'm sorry, Edson. I'm sorry, Edson.
Right.
Let's get into the fundraiser that's coming up. I know there is a big celebration, a big dance with recognition. So give us a little bit more information on this upcoming fundraiser, Edson, please.
Yeah, no problem. Our event, this is going to be our 4th year, the Garifuna Veterans of America Core Values Award Ceremony, where we honor 5 Garifuna active duty members and veterans as well. It will be on November 12th. It will be at Monroe College in the Bronx, in Fordham Road. It will be from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. We will have 2 cultural groups performing as well. We're going to have the Daddy Dance Company performing. We will have Chief Joseph Satsuya for Corey Dance Company performing. We're having Andy Ordonez performing, Don Cuellar, James Lavelle. Hopefully we will have some we don't know yet, performing as well. We will have Araceli Nunez Meda. Araceli Nunez Meda, she is the chief of staff of the Environmental Protector Agency in D.C. She's also Garifuna. She will be a special guest speaker for that day. Operations Specialist First Class, Diana Zuniga. She's in the United States Navy. She will be a keynote speaker. Operations Specialist. Listen, those people, they serious. you need a security clearance to have that job.
Wow.
And she's a first class. She's stationed in Virginia at the moment. She'll be a keynote speaker at the event. We're also going to have Luz Solis. Luz Solis will speak about the Garifuna history in Garifuna English and Spanish. And we have also a special award for a civilian for the commitment to service, which will be Mr. Crescencio Bulnes for the work that he has done for the community. So we have a lot going on that day. So it's a really busy schedule. We don't have that much time, but like I'm be telling people, when it comes to military, if you tell them 1 o'clock, they'll be there at 12:45. Alright, so we always on time. We start on time. We finish on time.
Excellent. Very good. That is great. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you want more information, you should join the Facebook page for the Garifuna Veterans of America. They are present on Facebook as Garifuna Veterans of America. There you could find all the information you need to be able to attend this wonderful event. Again, it's going to take place where, Edson?
It will be at Monroe College. It's 2501 Jerome Avenue in the Bronx. It will be from 1 to 6.
Excellent. For more information, is there a number where people could call to be able to get more information or buy tickets?
Yes. It will be 347-938-0408 or 718-496-1465, or they can also email us at garifunaveterans@gmail.com.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. You have the information. This is a event that you need to attend. There's going to be lots of fun, lots of culture, and of course intertwined with the beautiful presence of our military members who will be there. And of course, it's going to be an event that even if you're not in the service or have served the armed forces, that I suggest that you attend and you get involved and you help. This is a wonderful organization. Edson, is there anything else you would like to add to this interview as far as the work that Garifuna people have done from the beginning? I'm talking about since the 1940s that Garifuna have been involved in the armed forces. Go ahead.
Right. Before I get to that, one thing is the event is free. It's a free event for the whole family. You have kids, you have grandkids, you have nephews. Bring them. We have a lot of information. We have a lot of information for them. Actually, when we started doing our research in the Department of Defense, we actually found in 1925. This is 1925. This is not 1940.
Wow.
1925, we found 40 people that migrated from Belize. 40.
Wow.
Right? 1925. So I'm throwing actual dates and throwing actual numbers. 1925, we found out that 40 people got migrated from Belize to the U.S. Right? We also were talking about during the late 1940s. Right? And that time, that was actually where the Garifuna people got organized with the organization. That does not mean that that's the time where they got to the U.S. That was the time they got organized, not when they got to the U.S. But we actually have numbers, or we actually have people that migrated from Belize in 1925, which was the total at that time was only 40 people who were from Belize that came to the U.S. New York, actually, to be exact, 1925. So from there, a lot of these people who came from Central America was merchants, so on and so forth. Actually, some of them have served on ships in the U.S. One of the ships that they have served was the USS Portland Foster, which is a destroyer already decommissioned. A lot of them were stationed in those ships during that war, during the Second War. The U.S. will recruit special people or special individuals from Central America, mainly from Honduras, to actually be stationed on these ships because they have special skills. Right?
Wow.
We also have the name of those people who serve in these ships. The USS Paulus Foster was my first ship that I was stationed in. So that's how I was able to know this information. Once we found these people, the U.S. found these people, or the military found these people, they put them in special operation or special tasks. Some of the special tasks are classified now, but we do have the information. Unfortunately, we cannot share the information because it's classified information. A lot of the veterans that we have now were in special operation, special ops. So we cannot put the information out there, not even their name or even that they serve. We do have them, but we cannot release the information. But since that time, early 1940s, the U.S. have recruited individuals from Central America to actually serve the U.S. Not only the U.S., but they have in Europe as well, especially England, especially those people taken from recruited from Belize, and then the training came from they got it from the U.S. either in Camp Pendleton or Camp Lejeune, which is in North Carolina.
Wow.
And we have all the information, but again, those people didn't. Some of them did identify themselves as Garifuna, some didn't. We have gotten service records for those people who are served, and we have a couple of them that did put that they were Garifunas. This is for the 1950s on, but before that, there has not been. We didn't find any record for those people who identified themselves as Garifunas at that time. We actually found a couple of people for 1946. That's in 1946. This is the World War II already had ended.
Wow.
The last name, they were from Belize. The last name was Sambola. But when they came to the U.S., they changed their names to Sam. Right?
Yes, Sam.
So, yes, they changed the name to Sam so they could be more Americanized. So we have all this information.
Yes.
They changed the last name to Sam so they could, blend in more with the Americans and so on and so forth, especially coming from Central America. Right? So we have people that came to this country during that time and served in the military, but they had changed their last names. Right? So kind of more mixed. So that part is even harder for us to find these people and be like, okay, you Garifuna or you not or whatever. It's a little bit hard because of the last name. We even found people with last name Whitaker. Right? They Garifuna from Honduras. Right? But the last name is Whitaker. So we have done a lot of digging. We have Garifuna that have served in the military, and they work for the Department of Defense. They work for the Pentagon. So we get our information from them because they have the security clearance that we don't. So they help us out in that manner. But all the information that I'm sharing with you guys right now, it's information that we have actually gotten from those people, gotten for the Department of Defense as well, and we digging deep.
Wow,
we digging deep because we want people to understand. We want our people to be proud of who they are. We want our people to be proud of their roots, right? And there's a lot for us to be proud. Serving, there's a lot of people that work for the government right now. There's a couple of entrepreneurs, believe it or not. There's a couple of entrepreneurs as well. We have athletes that Garifuna, that professional football players, professional basketball players. We have a whole lot to be proud of. So we want people to understand that that they should not be ashamed to be Garifuna. Period.
Exactly.
If you have kids, and you should be teaching your kids the history, at least the basic history. It doesn't matter if you speak the language or not. But teach your kids who they from, where they come from, where their senses come from, where the strength, where their knowledge, where the intelligence come from. We gotta instill that into our kids and not be ashamed of that. These soldiers that you see in uniform, that got Ifuna with the medals and ribbons and sort out whatever. Once they stand in front of you, they stand tall. They don't stand like they're ashamed of being who they are. Right? So we try to bring those individuals into our community, right? So we could have a different faith in our community. That's what we try to do.
Yes, very good, man. Congratulations for the work that you're doing, Edson. This is amazing. And in some of the readings that we do in the Garifuna Language and Culture Academy, we have come across some understanding of why Garifuna people make such good soldiers. Now, if we go a little bit back to the days of Yurumin, when the Garinagu were being infiltrated by the British and by the French to try to take away their land in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the story tells us that Garifuna people were the first ones to create and to invent guerrilla warfare, because when the British would come, they would wait for them on top of rocks, and as the British come into the caves or into the holes to try to find them, they would trap them and, of course, fight them hard, and keep them away, to the point that the English were fighting Garifuna for over 100 years until they finally were able to defeat their chief, Joseph Chatouillet. But it was not easy for them. Now, they say that because of that brave warrior that makes the Garifuna, they brought it with them, to Central America as they were exiled by the British. And, of course, as they landed in Roatan, and then they spread out to the mainland, Honduras, Nicaragua, Guatemala, and Belize. And that's why today we see such good warriors, good people to be in the military. I don't know how much of that is true, but I think that it has some type of connection. And if you do read some of that history, which is available for free, you just Google it. It is just amazing to see that connection, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. And you know what? And actually, you are absolutely right. And this is another fact. So far, in all those wars, there have not been, in the people we have found so far, there have not been one Garifuna so far who has served that died in combat.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
We have not found even one person that died in combat doing any of these the wars that we had throughout the years.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, with that in mind, I wanna also send a big shout out to Sergeant First Class Selvin Paulino from Punta Gorda in Belize. He is now retired. He served in the Army for more than 20 years. And also Sergeant First Class Brian Martinez, who is right here in Los Angeles as well. He is also from Belize, from Siambite, actually, the community of Siambite, and whose biographies we have already submitted to you. So we already found them. We got them already. Beautiful. So we encourage those of you who are listening tonight, who are tuning in, who have not sent information regarding joining the Garifuna Veterans of America, to reach out and to please call the number that Edson is going to give us again, or you could go to Facebook and look for Garifuna Veterans of America. There is this wonderful page where you can find pictures, biographies, information, resources for jobs, resources for all kinds of things for veterans. So Edson, go ahead and give us that number again if they want to get in touch with you.
Yes, that would be 347-938-0408 or 718-496-1465. Yes, and in our page you could actually see all the bios, all the information of the people that we have found so far. You will see a lot of interesting people and all the stuff that they have done in the military. We also have for those who are transitioning from active duty to civilian, and we know that it's hard. Transition from active duty to civilian. We help them out with the resumes. We help them out with prepare them for interviews. We do mock interviews for them. and we actually send them to places where we know are military friendly, and we know and we prepare them so they could land a job. But before that, what we concentrate more is in the education part of it. That's why we try to instill first. We try to instill the education part of it. But we understand when people come and they want to work, they want a job or whatever, so we try to balance both of them. But we feel that education should be first, because the military do pay for education, and there's a post 9/11 GI Bill where you get a housing allowance, depending what state you live in. If you live in New York, the housing allowance is $3,000 a month, as long as you go to school. That should be able to, pretty much hold you down for a little while until you get a job and stuff like that or whatever. And California is pretty much in the same range, but it all depends on the state. But we also have the program as well, where when they transition, if you are a war veteran and you haven't done or you didn't do your VA physical, your exit physical, whatever you want to call it, we also help you out with that. There's a gentleman that served during Vietnam, and when he got out, he was well off. They didn't need the services from the VA and so forth or whatever. And now, him and his wife, he has a condition. And then, the wife called me. He was like, listen, they only gave him 10%. And I was, know what? This is what you need to do. Now, they went from 10% to 100%.
Wow.
So, we also helped him out with that, as well. And this is somebody that was in the Vietnam War. Then we had somebody from Belize where, he served, during, Desert Storm, Desert Shield in the 90s. And, he developed cancer. He went back to Belize. He didn't feel that he qualified for any benefits. So we was, able to get him, cancer treatment for the VA to fly him from Belize all the way, to the U.S., get cancer treatment, and then fly him back. So all this stuff, we know how to get, we know how to connect people, with the right individuals to get this stuff done. We know how to get all the paper. We know how to get all the paperwork done. When I came out, it was difficult for me. I didn't understand the language of it. I already knew was when I was active duty. So when I came out, when he was telling me, post 9/11 GI Bill, I really didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't know what type of paper I needed to fill out. So we learn from other people's mistakes, and we educate those who are coming out, and so we could guide them in the right direction.
Wow, excellent. No, that is great job that you're doing. Great service to the veterans, Garifuna veterans of America. Excellent information. Edson, I appreciate the time that you gave us. Very valuable information that you have shared with the community. And Edson is a retired member of the U.S. Navy. I commend you for the work that you're doing, and Carmen Miranda, I think, being the executive director, right?
Yes, and Jocelyn Miranda Perry, she's our vice president. Both of them are doing an amazing job. I mean, they're the ones that do most of the work, really. But they do an amazing job. I have a great staff.
Wow, excellent. Well, good people stick together and do wonderful things. I think that it doesn't matter how busy you are, ladies and gentlemen, but we believe that the people who stay busy are the ones that will do the more work. Even if you think you don't have the time, those are the people that you want to seek out. Those are the people that you want to rely on, because the busier they are, I know they always make time for a worthy cause. In this case, is the Garifuna Veterans of America. Thank you so much, Edson. Appreciate the time, and we love you, man. We will support 100% the work that you're doing, and thank you for giving us this wonderful interview tonight.
Thank you, guys. Well, thank you for having me again. It's been great. Hopefully, everybody that's listening, hopefully you guys will come on board. This is very extremely important for what we want to do later on in the future. So if you have any family members or whoever, let them know if you want us to speak with them. We surely will. I hardly get any sleep, so you can call me pretty much at any time. And I'll be available and reach out to you guys. So thank you.
All right, good night. Ladies and gentlemen, Edson Arzu, President of the Garifuna Garifuna Veterans of America. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
On behalf of Garifuna American Heritage Foundation United, we thank you for joining us tonight to the Clifford J. Palacio Garifuna Language and Culture Academy online. Don't forget, tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time through www.lmbroots.com in the Bronx and www.radiocentroamerica.com in Los Angeles. Classes are free and for the entire family. Download the homework or the handout from our Facebook's Garifuna Language and Culture Academy page or from www.garifunaheritagefoundation.org. All radio shows are recorded or archived for your online demand. So you can find it on YouTube's Gafu channel anytime, 24/7. This project is made possible in part by a grant from the Alliance for California Traditional Arts in partnership with the Walter and Elise Haas Fund, the William and Flora Hewitt, and the James Irvine Foundation. Ok, familia, ahora nos vamos hasta Nueva York con Budari Palacios de Budari Dance Company, con lo más reciente de lo que sucede en el ambiente social de la comunidad más grande fuera de Centroamérica, de Garifuna. Adelante, Budari Palacios, con tu reporte semanal. Vamos ya. Ajá, adelante, Budari, buenas noches. Huitiguño, ¿cómo estás?
Huitiguño, ¿cómo están todos mis amores? ¿Me escuchan bien? Buenas noches, Huitiguño.
Súper, súper.
Bueno, mis amores, pues aquí estamos reportándoles desde la ciudad que no duerme, Nueva York. Y bueno, como siempre les cuento, antes de comenzar, pues mil gracias por hacerme parte de esta su familia. Y pues aquí estamos adelante. Hemos tenido algunas vacaciones, pero ya estamos activados de nuevo. Y vamos a comenzar con lo que es nuestra bella comunidad garífuna de Cusuna. Entonces, este sábado 26 de octubre, Cusuna tiene lo que es su fiesta anual. Estará el DJ del momento, DJ Alfa. Recuerden, este sábado 26 será en el Centro Deportivo Manu Guayabo, que está en el 914 de Prospect Avenue y la 162 Street. Para mayor información, pues ustedes pueden llamar al 718-9928 575, 718-9928 575, para poder asistir a lo que es esta fiesta anual de lo que es nuestra comunidad garífuna de Cusuna. Bueno, mis amores, también tengo el orgullo de poder invitarlos también a todos, cada uno de ustedes que están en California y algunos están viajando para aquí a Nueva York, más que todo lo que es el mes de diciembre. Pues nosotros los invito que este 10 de diciembre va a haber una gran fiesta en el mismo local de Manu Guayabo, ¿verdad? En el cual se va a estar presentando Budari Dance Company. La percusión de Budari Dance Company va a estar DJ Cani, DJ Fuchsia, DJ Dino y lo que es DJ Lito con Brava Song. Cualquier información que ustedes quieran para los boletos, por favor llamen al 1646-617-7804. 646-617-7804 con el señor Santi, ¿verdad? La puerta va a estar a $15 antes de las 12 de la noche y después de las 12 de la noche $20. Así que nos esperamos a todos este 10 de diciembre en Mano Guayabo, bueno, pues para que la pasemos bien con tambores, con DJ. Y también les cuento que lo que es nuestra querida Esli, ¿verdad? De la comunidad garífuna de Guatemala.
Esli, ¡yay!
Esli, nuestra querida Esli, siempre está haciendo muchas actividades para también apoyar a la buga. Entonces ella ya tiró lo que es el flyer de lo que es el pororó. Y el pororó que ella va a tener va a ser domingo 11 de diciembre, ¿verdad? Va a estar con cuellas, así. Ajá. Entonces, esto va a ser para los niños. Los niños de 12 años van a pagar ya, bajo de 12 años van a pagar $5 y sobre los 12 años van a pagar $10. El pororo va a ser de 4 de la tarde a 10 de la noche. Pero para mayor información pueden llamar a la querida Esli al 347-282-8559. El número de Esli es el 347-282-0559 y esto será en el 535 de Streamon Avenue y de Streamon Avenue en tercer piso, Bronx, Nueva York. Recuerden, pororó para los niños ya está activado con Esli diciembre 11. ¿Y qué, mis amores? ¿Cómo está todo por allá en California?
Aquí en Los Ángeles estamos ya con los brazos abiertos esperando las festividades tan grandes, tan alegres del 19th of November, 19 de noviembre, la llegada del Garífuna a Belice. Se está celebrando 56 años aquí en Los Ángeles de que la comunidad garífuna ha estado celebrando año tras año lo que es este evento tan magno, tan grande, allá en Dangriga, más que todo. Entonces, aquí la comunidad garífuna angelina, que incluye guatemaltecos, hondureños y beliceños, que son la mayoría, los beliceños, se lleva a cabo un tremendo festival que incluye una misa desde las 8 de la mañana en la iglesia Nativity Church, localizada en la Vermont y la Slauson a partir de las 8 de la mañana. Regularmente se trae directamente de Honduras al padre Tomás Cacho para oficiar la misa y la participación del coro garífuna de Los Ángeles, que está al mando de su director Frank Palacio. También, aparte de estas personalidades que van a estar ahí, como es el coro garífuna, van a estar varios dignitarios, como la invitación que se le hizo de parte de GAFU a el cónsul general de Honduras, al cónsul general de Guatemala, al cónsul general de Nicaragua, a varios dignitarios de la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Entonces esperamos que todos lleguen. Ahí el que llega tarde se queda sin asiento, así es de que tienen que estar ahí desde las 7:30 de la mañana para poder obtener un asiento, porque se llena la iglesia y la iglesia no es tan grande. Luego de la misa, toda la gente se encamina para la próxima iglesia, que queda como unas 20 cuadras de ahí, que sería la iglesia de San Rafael, que está localizado en la esquina de la Vermont y la Florence. Ahí es donde se lleva a cabo el festival al aire libre, que está a cargo de Garífuna United Los Ángeles. Este grupo lleva a cabo un festival con música en vivo, bandas, grupos de baile, un baile de guanarua de niños, venta de comida garífuna, venta de artesanías, venta de un montón de cosas que tienen que ver con la celebración de la llegada del Garífuna. Y pues aparte de eso, viene Paula Castillo, viene Socié, viene Erwin Arzum, DJ Erskine desde Nueva York a Los Ángeles, a complacernos y pues a deleitarnos con su música, porque el día viernes 18 se llevará a cabo el baile antes de las grandes festividades aquí en Los Ángeles. Estará también 501 Band, estará Punta Manía Band, Gui Pasi y muchos más. Aparte de eso, pues hemos invitado también a nuestra querida Budari Palacios a ver si ya logró pedir permiso ahí al cónsul general de su casa para que le dé la visa para poder viajar para acá, para que nos venga a dar un taller de tambor y de danza aquí en Los Ángeles durante estas festividades. Así es de que el baile del 18 se repite también el sábado 19, solo que el sábado va a empezar desde las 4 de la tarde, más temprano, con tambor, DJ, con grupos en vivo, con Paula, con Socié, con muchos artistas, incluyendo a Erwin Arzú, y también va a ser su servidor Ronnie Figueroa, maestro de ceremonias para el sábado, para el viernes 18 y el sábado 19 en el club Mi Palazzo Hall, que está localizado enfrente de la iglesia San Rafael, ahí en la Vermont y la Florence. Pues sí,
Perfecto,
Budari,
perfecto.
¿cómo estamos con el permiso?
¿Aló? Eso
¿Cómo
va a estar
estamos con el
candelita,
permiso?
pollito asado.
Sí, claro.
Ay, sí, excelente, qué bueno. Vamos a ver si se va con todo y el cónsul.
Eso.
Todos los cónsules. Claro, va a ser una bonita experiencia, la verdad que siempre he dicho que el sur sale para todos.
Sí.
Y todos tenemos derecho a buscar nuestras propias oportunidades, a tener esa luz de poder abrir una puerta y poder ver la magia de nuestros éxitos.
Sí.
Pero
Budari,
siempre, como siempre, ajá.
cuéntame algo. Durante el tiempo que tú estuviste con el Ballet Folclórico Garífuna, estamos hablando de qué años ahí en Honduras.
Ok, de 1995 al 2000.
Wow. Y luego
Esos fueron los años que estuve con el Ballet Garífuna. Tenía 15 años cuando yo entré al Ballet Garífuna, y pues ahí, pues la verdad que ahí fue donde me hicieron como bailarina, me inculcaron bastante sobre lo que es nuestra cultura garífuna. Y pues ya en el 2000, pues ya no seguí con ellos, y llegué a lo que es a los Estados Unidos por la misma oportunidad que tuve con el Ballet Nacional Folclórico Garífuna. Pues estuve dando unos workshops, unas clases en Dallas, Texas, y después de Dallas, Texas, pues ya encontré la oportunidad con una señora que pues la considero mi madre también, que es de Corozal, Tajil, y entonces pues ella me ayudó para venir aquí a Nueva York, y me involucré más también con lo que es la cultura garífuna, siendo parte de los ex integrantes de Guanichigo, que formamos un grupo que se llamaba Nuwani. Y después de Nuwani, pues ahí fui transmitiendo, porque no quería que se perdiera lo que un día aprendí en el Ballet Garífuna.
Correcto.
Después de Nuwani, pues creo que formamos junto con Félix Gamboa, Budoma y yo, pusimos como Budari y Budoma Cultural Group. Después ya se formó lo que es Philip decidió, pues me comunicó que era mejor ponerle el grupo Satuyé. Si yo soy Satuyé, pues le puso Si yo soy Satuyé. Al transcurrir estuve 2 años con él, y después pues ya lo que es me salí de esa compañía por A o por B, y comencé lo que es junto con mi esposo y algunos compañeros Budari Dance Company. Pues
excelente.
Ya te estoy diciendo que ya estoy teniendo más de 23 o 24 años representando lo que es la cultura garífuna a nivel mundial.
Felicitaciones, ¿no? Y fíjate que cada vez que te miramos en las fotos con Ashanti y Crisanto, siempre decimos, estas dos son hermanas, se parecen tanto y se quieren tanto, y en las fotos que salen, pues salen como que fueran hermanas de sangre, ¿verdad? ¿Cuál es tu relación con Ashanti?
La verdad que cuando Ashanti entró del ballet, yo ya estaba, y la verdad que nos ayudamos mucho, porque es duro cuando tú entras a algo que tú desconoces y que tienes que empezar a saber cómo poner hasta el pie, la mano, los hombros. Le digo yo a ella que somos hermanas espirituales porque nos conocemos demasiado. Lo único que ella es bien enojada y yo soy bien alegre.
Sí, eso es cierto. Y también está la hermana mayor de Ashanti, ¿cómo se llama la que vive allá en Nueva York? Se me pasa el nombre de ella.
Satuyé.
Con Satuyé, sí. ¿Cómo es Satuyé? Ella estuvo mucho más antes que tú, ¿no?
Sí, no, yo en esos tiempos la verdad que no te puedo decir mucho, porque cuando uno llega al Ballet Garífuna solo escucha las historias de aquellos que ya estuvieron.
Pero Satuyé
sí,
fue miembro del grupo, porque ella es hija de Crisanto, ¿no?
Sí, la historia se repite, al igual que Ashanti, al igual que Masai, que es una hija también de Crisanto. También forman parte del Ballet Nacional Garífuna ahora. Entonces la historia se repite, y cada uno que va saliendo pues va dejando su libro escrito ahí en el Ballet Garífuna. Y sí, Satuyé formó parte muchísimos años atrás del Ballet Nacional Garífuna, al igual que otras bailarinas como es la finada Steve, como es Mimi que vive en Nueva York, como es Chona, bueno, y son, olvídate, un grupo más de 50 años de existir, imagínate cuántas personas han entrado y han salido.
Y qué mala eres que no has mencionado ningún nombre de ningún varón, porque hay varios varones que se han quedado, incluyendo
Bueno, no, es que sí. Sí, bueno, aquí en Nueva York, la verdad que de los ex integrantes del ballet garífuna está lo que es Bayroni, está lo que es Diego, está Popo, está Donny también, Donny Medina, muchos muchachos del ballet garífuna están acá. Algunos sé que están allá contigo en California.
Sí, aquí están. Ajá.
Están ahí contigo en California. Y sí, si vamos a hablar de músicos, está también el famoso Pasit, gran timbalero, pues ya algunos viejos que también han fallecido, lo que es nuestro querido Julián Martínez Norales, canario. Algunos que ya se han ido para su comunidad de garífuna, como es lo que es nuestro querido Chángel, con esa gran voz que Dios le dio y los ancestros.
Oh, sí, Ángel Blanco, ¿verdad?
Sí, ya él se salió, se retiró, entonces él está allá en su comunidad garífuna.
Sí, pues, bueno, qué alegre, gracias
pues aquí,
por esa...
Aquí en Nueva York habemos varios del Ballet Nacional Folclórico Garífuna, que qué bello fuera, pues, de que todos nos unamos. Casualmente te puedo compartir de que ahorita mismo lo que es Pañoni, Diego y algunos de los ex integrantes del Ballet Garífuna, pues han decidido apoyar a Budari Dance Company, y pues aquí los tengo conmigo también.
Wow, me les das un abrazo virtual al aire y también un apretón de manos por el tremendo trabajo que hacen y nunca olvidarse de sus raíces, ¿verdad?
Exactamente, eso es yo creo que eso es lo más importante, porque imagínate que ya dentro de unos 50, 60 años, ya nosotros vamos a estar viejos, ya tal vez sin bastón, ya tienen que haber otros atrás que nos reemplacen, no todo el tiempo podemos ser podemos ser los pilares, pero sí tiene que quedar alguien que siga ese legado de nosotros. Y pues bueno, son grandes artistas que han salido del Ballet Nacional Folclórico Garífuna de Honduras. A muchas personas no les gusta y no aceptan eso, pero realmente es la realidad. El Ballet Nacional Folclórico Garífuna ha sido uno de los pilares que gracias a ese ejemplo han salido miles de grupos, tanto en diferentes países. Entonces no podemos cegar los ojos ante la verdad. Y pues así, aquí estamos, mis amores, siempre para adelante y felicitando como siempre a Guayurus, a Baranga, por tantos años de sabiduría, y aún así ahí sigue al cañón del pie, como dicen.
Es cierto. Así es que adelante, Budari, gracias por esa pequeña entrevista que nos diste, por habernos contestado. Eran dudas que teníamos, ¿no? Aparte de que ya te conocemos artísticamente por lo que haces en la comunidad, pero vale la pena también dar a conocer otros aspectos de lo que es Budari Palacios.
Ajá, bueno, mis amores, pues me estabas entrevistando y ni cuenta me di, porque yo siento como que estamos hablando de familia a familia. Bueno, pues les cuento que este 29 de octubre nuestro querido Limontus Martínez, él viene desde Nueva Orleans, viene a celebrar su cumpleaños, ¿verdad? A lo que es el Social Catering Place. Esto será yo creo que está este octubre 29, así que ya ustedes saben, el Social Catering Place, que está en el 3405 de Sur Avenue, él estará celebrando su cumpleaños. Él tiene DJ, tiene banda, bueno, la cosa va a estar, como les digo, candelita, pollito asado, y las puertas se estarán abriendo a las 10 de la noche, ¿verdad? Antes de las 12, $20, y después de las 12, $25. También, como les estaba diciendo, ya vienen los FEDU, ya comienza diciembre. Y con ellos, pues entonces, lo que es este 17 de diciembre, el grupo Umádago de aquí de Brooklyn, porque déjenme decirles que aquí en Brooklyn también tenemos muchos garífunas y que también hace actividades en la iglesia, actividades en diferentes locales, pero también aquí en Brooklyn. Entonces, déjenme contarles que sí, este 17 de diciembre está el Facebook del grupo Umádago aquí en Brooklyn. También el 24 de diciembre, lo que es Coqui y su compañía van a tener el otro FEDU en lo que es en el Bronx. Y como estamos hablando de grupos de FEDU, también está el FEDU de Houston, Texas, de lo que es Grupo 5 Estrellas. Lo van a tener el 24 de diciembre. Eso va a ser en el 7000 de Jensen DR, Houston, Texas. Así que los que están allá por Houston, Me imagino que Nueva Orleans o se vienen para Nueva York o se van para Houston, donde más cerca les quede. Entonces ya están sabidos que Grupo 5 Estrellas estará activado en Houston, Texas. Aquí la cosa está candelita, pollito asado, y Nueva York no descansa. También les cuento que lo que es uno de los grupos que está pegando duro con lo que es Lipaña Maraza, originarios de la comunidad garífuna de Santa Fe, pues ellos están cumpliendo su aniversario número 13. El sábado 26 de noviembre, pues ellos tendrán su gran celebración en lo que es, nuevamente, como les digo, Social Catering Place, o Best Party Place, como le quieran decir. Ellos van a estar ahí y la promoción va a costar $25. Ya en puerta va a costar $30 la entrada. Va a estar Lipaña Maraza, va a estar Pichi, Echentizón, Legacy Gift, va a estar nuestro querido Nino Arzú, Baby Luz, DJ Lito y Estrellas Hugo. O sea que va a estar candelita, pollito asado, todo el mundo pues a lo que es entrar a lo que es el aniversario número 13 de Lipaña Maraza. Es que aquí no se descansa. También les quería informar que lo que es Casa Yurume, todo el mundo conoce Casa Yurume. Pablo, uno de los integrantes de Casa Yurume, me estaba dejando saber de que los viernes en la noche ustedes pueden llegar ahí a ingresarse, porque ellos comenzaron sus clases en inglés. Así que si usted quiere aprender a hablar inglés, pues usted puede llegar a lo que es Casa Yurume. Y pues sí, mis amores, tenemos más tiempo todavía.
Sí, hay tiempo, claro que sí, Budari, adelante.
Ajá, pues sí, como les estaba diciendo, bueno, antes de seguir lo que es aquí las promociones que yo siempre hago, yo quiero aconsejarle a la gente de que nunca perdamos la humildad, que no importa cuántas escaleras nosotros podemos subir o qué es lo que a veces nosotros llegamos a lograr en nuestras manos. Para mí, yo creo que lo más importante es que jamás nosotros lleguemos a perder la humildad. La humildad no quiere decir que sos bruto o que sos dejado. Las personas inteligentes y grandes graduados pueden ser humildes, porque una persona humilde entra a donde sea, como sea. Pero una persona arrogante que se cree la mamá de Chita o el papá de Tarzán, olvídate. Ni así tenga las cinco medallas, no creo que va a poder entrar en todos lados. Pues siempre le aconsejo a todos que no perdamos lo que es la humildad. Es muy esencial en nuestros valores. Y pues siguiendo aquí con lo que es los eventos que tenemos en Nueva York, la verdad que tengo muchísimos y no me va a dar el tiempo, pues les voy a presentar lo que es Ginger y Limontus. Ellos también están haciendo nuevamente lo que es el Halloween Kids Party, ¿verdad? Eso va a ser nuevamente, les digo que en Catering, lo que es este local de Social Catering Place, olvídense, es un local de africanos que están haciendo billete con nuestra comunidad garífuna, ya que es el lugar que ustedes pueden ver que todo el mundo pues está alquilando para hacer sus eventos. Pues esperamos de que todos se porten bien para que no vayan a cerrar este local por tal vez algún problema. Entonces, el Halloween Kid Party ellos lo van a tener este domingo 30 de octubre, ¿verdad? Va a estar Legacy Gift y va a estar H&P Zone. Va a estar bonito. Adultos $15, niños después de los 12 años, después de los 12 años, antes de los 12 años también tiene su precio. Así que va a comenzar de 3 de la tarde a 10 de la noche. Para mayor información y ustedes queden completamente informados, como dice la chimoltrufia, llamen a Ginger al 347-963-1824, 347-963-1824. Y también, como les estaba diciendo, pues ustedes, yo sé que hay muchas personas que siempre quieren mandar una cajita, ya estamos entrando a diciembre, ¿verdad? Y entonces es muy importante ver las sonrisas de nuestros familiares en nuestros países. Pues les aconsejo de que ustedes usen la empresa Flamingo Express. Flamingo Express tiene la facilidad también de llevar sus paquetes a donde su familia sea que viva, y si usted tiene carro también puede mandar su carro. ¿Por qué me gusta apoyar a Flamingo Express? Les voy a explicar, porque Flamingo Express, el dueño de esa compañía, ¿aló?
Sí, aquí estamos, adelante.
Sí, el dueño de esta compañía de envíos para lo que es Honduras, Salvador y Guatemala. Él está haciendo 3 diferentes escuelas en 3 diferentes comunidades en Honduras. Niños que no tienen un cuaderno, niños que no tienen un lápiz, niños que van a recibir sus clases en champitas que ya prácticamente se están cayendo y que prácticamente las mismas personas de la comunidad tienen que pagar a ese maestro. Entonces, el dueño de Flamenco Express, él hace donaciones y ayuda a la construcción de estas 3 escuelas. Así que si ustedes quieren apoyar a este señor con ese gran corazón que está ayudando a estos niños que necesitan también de nosotros, por favor llamen al 201-863-0840, 201-863-0840 o al 201-923-5735, y con esto yo cierro lo que es, les aconsejo Flamingo Express. Así que mis amores, Buitiguñun, mil gracias por todo, pues ya ustedes saben que aquí estamos activados.
Thank you so much. Gracias, Budari. Así es de que estamos pendientes de tu llegada a Los Ángeles, así es de que mantenernos informados, así es de que muchas gracias, feliz noche, Buitiguño, y saludos a todo el grupo poderoso de Budari Dance Company.
Ok, mis amores, mañana te llamo, mañana hablamos, gracias.
Ok, ayo.
Ok, ayo.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is now we are no longer the Garifuna Language and Culture Academy. Now we're with Garifuna Music.